Howdy doody doodies. Yep, there it is. This is the week. This is the big week that we all wait for. This is the one we celebrate for the birthday of Jesus the Christ. Couple more days and there will be. Yeah, you know, it's too bad we don't have that Star of Bethlehem they talk about to follow, and we don't have the gifts. Let's talk about some of the myths of the gifts. First place, they talked about the shepherds in the field, and all of a sudden here come this big blinding light, and the angels come down and says, hey, old buddies, we got something to tell you over here in Bethlehem in the stable. And the stable in those days wasn't built like a barn that we have out here in Oklahoma or Arizona or in Texas. Why, it was built more into a cave usually. They put the animals wherever they could out of the way. And that was the stable. They had a manger. Oh yeah, they had a box or a couple boards put up. They'd put the feed in there so it didn't get all over into the manure and the things that happen in those stables. But you know, the big thing is, and this is important too, that there was something like that happened. And there was a star that the wise men followed. They called it, in the Bible, the original, they called it the Magi. That meant more of the people that studied astrology or did different things that they did. And I think that if you think about that, and I do know we all do, I think if you think about that, you'll realize that how could a star millions of miles away come and hover over a stable, a manger? And how long would it take for the Magi to get there? Well, we hear about the three wise men, but we don't know how many wise men there were. But we do know they had three main gifts. They had frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Well, the gold was a medium of exchange, and they needed that. That was like money, and still is to this day. And they give this to the little old boy, the baby, the mom, and the daddy. They needed it to help them out. After all, it was tax time when he was born, but could it have been that way when the Magi got there? They came from the Far East. They didn't have highways and speedboats and automobiles. They had to walk and travel, and it took a lot of time. Even then, they had to be stopped on the border by the guards, and then they finally wound up in front of old King Herod, and he said he'd heard about this old boy that was going to be the ruler, the king of Jerusalem. There again, there's another one of the myths, and the reason that so many people don't believe in it, because it didn't come the way it was supposed to. But that was man-made. Man made up those rules that he was going to come on a big charger and going to have a war that would clean up the whole country and make it the rulers, and that's the way they want their Messiah to be. He's going to be the king and take over everything. So it was hard to believe, but you see, the wise men, well, that could have been space people for all we know that come down to talk to him, and they could have set this whole thing up. And that star that hovered over there, maybe that was a bright light of some kind of a space being. I'm not going to say that's true, because I want you to think about that and make reasonable deductions of your own. But I am going to say it certainly is unusual. So there could have been 100 Magi that come, but the three main gifts that they brought. Oh, myrrh, that's kind of a healing thing, has a good smell too. Frankincense, again, another healing herb, but it has a good smell, and it helps the healing. You get the idea? Well, what I'm telling you is, this should be a healing season, and that's what we've been talking about all month long. I love you. God loves you. Love yourself, and get well in every way. Mind, body, and spirit. That soul of yours is precious. Talk to you next week.